Welcome back, everybody. Today we're really diving deep into something important, making health and safety training stick. Not just going through the motions, but really getting people to engage and remember it. We've got some great insights from Regier Education, Inc., and they've got some pretty practical advice for running live sessions, A&D, making those self-directed modules actually work.
Yeah, what strikes me about their approach is how they really understand how adults learn. It's not just about lecturing at people, it's about getting them involved, making it matter to their own lives.
So let's jump right into those live training sessions, the ones that can sometimes be, well, a bit of a struggle to get people excited about. Regier actually suggests starting with icebreakers. Can you believe that?
Mhm.
What do you think about that, using icebreakers for safety training?
You know, it's funny, but it can be really effective. Safety is a serious topic, right? But
Mm.
starting with something light, getting people talking, maybe even laughing a little, it can change the whole atmosphere. People are more relaxed, more open to learning.
They even had some specific ideas, like asking people to share a time they almost had an accident, a near miss, they call it, or even just guessing common workplace hazards. I kind of like that, getting people thinking about their own experiences right from the start.
Exactly. It makes it real, and it sets up the whole session to be more of a conversation where everyone feels like they can contribute, share what they know, learn from each other. And that's another thing Regier really emphasizes, bringing in real world examples, stories, things people can relate to.
Oh, and they even suggest bringing in guest speakers,
Yeah.
like safety officers or people who have actually been in workplace accidents. I can imagine how powerful that would be, hearing firsthand how those safety protocols can actually, make a difference, maybe even save a life.
Absolutely. It brings it home, doesn't it? It's not just facts and figures anymore. It's real people, real stories. And that makes a huge difference in how people remember the information. And speaking of remembering, when you move into self-directed learning, those online modules, Regier really pushes for making them interactive, using scenarios.
Oh, yeah. That virtual warehouse example they gave, where your choices about PPE actually have consequences, I thought that was brilliant. It's like a game, but for safety.
And that's how adults learn best. By doing, by trying things out, by seeing what happens when they make different choices. And with the simulation, they can do that safely in a controlled environment. It's powerful stuff.
And it's not just about making it fun in games, is it? It's also about presenting the information in a way that people can actually absorb. Remember, Regier talks about using micro-learning modules, breaking things down into bite-sized chunks. I think that's so crucial these days.
Totally agree. People are busy, right? They don't have time to sit through hours of training. But if you give them short, focused modules, they can fit them into their day, learn at their own pace. It just makes sense, and it helps them remember the information better, too.
So we're seeing that Regier is all about engagement and making it relevant, both in live sessions, A&D self-directed learning, and they actually have 4 key principles they suggest focusing on.
Yeah, and if you really dig into those principles, you can see how they can apply to both types of training. Make that content really hit home. The first one they talk about is relevance, which, seems obvious, right? But it's making sure that what you're teaching actually connects to what people do, their jobs, their everyday tasks.
Right, like someone working in an office probably doesn't need a whole course on operating a forklift, but teaching them about ergonomics,
Yeah.
setting up their workstation properly, that's relevant to them.
Exactly. It keeps people engaged because they can see how it applies to their lives. And then their second principle is coaching, which I found really interesting. They talk about using those near misses, those times when something almost went wrong, as learning opportunities.
Yeah, it's easy to just kind of brush those off, maybe give someone a warning and move on. But thinking of it as a chance to learn, to actually improve things,
Yeah.
that's powerful.
It is. It changes the whole mindset from blaming people to preventing problems. If people know they can talk about those near misses without getting in trouble, they're more likely to speak up. And that makes everyone safer in the long run.
The third principle is engaging awareness, and I think that's a big one. Because let's face it, safety training can be, well, a little dry sometimes. Regier is all about finding ways to make it more interesting, more captivating.
Absolutely. They want you to think outside the box. Can you use humor? Tell stories. Maybe even use games or technology to spice things up a bit.
I like that they're pushing us to be more creative, to go beyond just presenting information and really think about how to grab people's attention. And then the last principle, instructional design, might sound kind of technical, but it's really about making sure the training is well organized, easy to understand.
It's about the flow of information, using clear language, visuals, choosing the right way to deliver the content. Because if it's well designed, people will learn more, remember more. It just makes sense.
So we've covered a lot here with Regier. from live sessions to self-directed modules, and those 4 key principles. It's really clear that moving away from that old school passive way of doing safety training can make a huge difference.
It really can. And what I think is so great about their approach is that it's not just about checking boxes, complying with regulations. It's about building a culture of safety where everyone's involved, everyone's looking out for each other.
It's about giving people the knowledge and skills to be proactive, to spot hazards, to take responsibility for their own safety, the safety of those around them.
Exactly. And that benefits everyone. It makes the workplace a better, safer place to be.
So now I want to turn it over to you, our listener. We've talked about some pretty innovative ways to make safety training more engaging, more effective. What stood out to you?
Was there something, a strategy, a principle that sparked an idea, something you could try in your own workplace?
Maybe you've seen some of these techniques in action already. Did they work? What were the challenges? We'd love to hear your thoughts, your experiences.
It's amazing, right? How even little things can change how people think about safety, like just starting a session with something fun or using those close calls as a chance to learn.
Yeah, it's those moments when you stop just telling people stuff and actually get them thinking, get them involved. That's when the real learning happens.
So before we go, we want to leave you with a bit of a challenge. What's one thing you could do this week, something specific, to make safety training more engaging where you work?
Could you maybe suggest adding a scenario to an online course? Or start a conversation about how to use those near misses to teach people?
Because remember, building a culture of safety, it's not a one-time thing. It takes everyone working together, trying new things, always looking for ways to improve.
So thanks for joining us on this deep dive into making health and safety training really stick. We'll see you next time. And until then, stay curious and stay safe.